Part 3, if you did not watch the other parts, go back and watch them on my profile. We're talking about pivoting and what that looks like, how it cannot be black and white for everybody, and framework, right? So I'm basing this off of somebody who potentially has been trading for a while now. If you're a newer trader and you have questions, please leave it in the comments and I will go through them and answer them. But when we're talking about framework, I teach a very, very specific framework that is reusable, rinse and repeat every single day, so you kind of know where you're at in the market and kind of can adjust from there. If you trade a particular setup, right, and it keeps not presenting itself, that's where the pivot potentially could come in, right? Again, I'm not saying if you've been trading something and it just completely quits working to hop around, strategy hop, right? We're still using those key principles to figure out where we're at in the market and how we can adjust accordingly. So that is definitely something that is going to be more honed in on, especially since we've been seeing so much erratic behavior inside of the markets. What worked before technically is not working at the moment. Does that mean it can come back? Potentially, right? Nobody really knows. So being able to pivot inside of that and understanding those key principles for yourself is going to be very, very important. And understanding what those pivots look like for you, right? You have to still set a game plan around who you are as a trader. So again, going back to somebody, if you are a seasoned trader, maybe you've been trading for a while, and understanding that if you don't know what kind of trader you are or what kind of trader you want to be, that is half of the battle, right? Because you need behaviors that you can show up each and every single day and be as robotic as you can, while still obviously understanding we're humans and we can't be robots. So with that being said, sit down with yourself and ask yourself those hard questions. Okay, what kind of trader am I? Okay, I'm a scalper. I have rinse and repeat behaviors. I have my zones I mark up every day. If this doesn't happen, then I'm looking for this, right? And that's where my pivot is, right? If I don't see my breakout happen, I'm looking for a different kind of structure. And then if that doesn't happen, look for the other structure, right? I have key things I look for every single day. And since I've been teaching for a while now, there is one thing also that I will be speaking on more. And it's the idea that there's not a perfect trading day every day, right? There's going to be days when your setup it could present itself, but it does not pan out, right? I'm always looking for presentation. If it does not present itself, then, or it does and there's no follow through, right? I don't beat myself up about that, because I see people not knowing either when to not trade completely or not to be able to look at the market sometimes and be like, no, like I need to size down, or understand what political news is happening. Maybe there's some red folder news events coming out where you have to really understand, like, okay, if I see something like that, I'm going to be sizing down, or I'm not trading, right, over here. But there's other instances where you're going to try to create the same thing that happened yesterday, and that's just not feasible, in my opinion, right? This isn't financial advice. I can't give you guys financial advice, but I hope this is making sense. If you guys have specific questions about it, let me know. But at the end of the day, having your framework, having ideas, understanding who you are, being able to pivot inside of that same framework is going to do you a lot better, right, than just throwing everything out of the window and starting from scratch and just looking at the charts and feeling lost. I feel like that happens quite a bit. So if you can start to figure those key pieces out, that's going to be much more helpful in the long run. So I might make another video. Go check it out.